He's saying he's a military police, and he says, and we've been sent footage before by military police and others, so I want this footage of them in briefings openly talking about gun confiscations. Now, that's now in the manuals that they're training to quarantine cities and towns and confiscate guns. We've had Navy SEALs on confirming it. We have the documents. We know that. But footage, not just in some Army manual, but footage could really, really hurt the folks that are trying to covertly prepare the military for basically civil war. Brian, obviously, you've got to go back in right now. Tell us as much as you can and how we get this footage, but describe it for us.
Okay, so I was in a briefing with FEMA. FEMA runs my old unit. I'm actually out now. I got out in September of this year. They were talking about suspension of the Constitution, Second and Fourth Amendment rights being taken away, and I openly asked him, are we going to take guns? He says no, but he says they will. It's clearly on the video. They will, talking about the FEMA guys with us. So that's the gist of the video. You could, I'm filming the floor because it kind of startled me when they said that they're going to suspend the Constitution under martial law, which is pretty scary to me.
Essentially, yeah, you pretty much at that time, your Second Amendment, all your rights, First Amendment rights, pretty much everything is not at that moment. Just interrupting. Yeah.
So you said that martial law suspends their Second Amendment, so I'm not going to, but would you say we would take weapons from people?
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah.
That's what they do, but I'm
yeah, I wouldn't agree with that either. I'm the Second, I believe the Second Amendment. But
okay.
Essentially, during a moment of martial law, you lost all control. That's what I'm saying. When the military moves in on your street, they are now saying you have no more rights. Pretty much, you're going second house. That's like the worst case scenario. So I'm saying when the way they're not looking at it, when it's guarded used, that's how it's going to be used.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be off there on the street corner and like, hey, we're here. Unless you're like you're assisting with some kind of event, you're not going to be involved in a riot and not really have any authority to do it.
No, you're not going to go knocking on doors and be like, all right, I need a shotgun. Here. You're not going to like go up to each house and say.
Well, they did that in Katrina, is why I'm asking. And if we're talking about shit hitting the fan, I'm not going to do it. But
they're not going to do that necessarily. It's more or less like, hey, go in your house, shut up, stay there. That's what would be the point.
Okay.
Because that reason I have martial law in place is it's the lowest situation where, like I said, everything's already broken down. It's a last resort to change pretty much. Your last ditch effort to put that law in order is that thing. That's why they have the actual guard.
Okay.
Good question. I think they did that in Katrina, right? They did so and take people's guns.
Yeah. Which I think is bullshit, but.
You're going to claim your right to the price that you hold in hand?
Yeah.
We're going to get political right now.
You guys got questions?
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
And tonight, the betting of the president continues as we bring you another edition of The Real Obama. Now, in this installment, we shine the spotlight on an executive order that the White House was hoping that you would never learn about. Now, the president signed the National Defense Resources Preparedness Executive Order late Friday afternoon. And since that time, now the measure has been virtually ignored by the mainstream media. Now, the order essentially gives the president of the United States absolute power over any and all American resources during both times of peace and national crisis. Now, this includes, but is not limited to, food and livestock, water, plants, energy, health resources, transportation, and construction materials, and gives the government the ability to, quote, control the general distribution of any material, including applicable services, in the civilian market. Now, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney laughed off a question about the document at today's briefing. Let's take a look.
There's been some online commentary suggesting this gives the executive branch power to allocate energy, food, water in either peacetime or wartime. And there are some conservative blogs that are pushing the notion that this suggests the White House is preparing for a war with Iran. Can you explain what this executive order was?
Well, I cannot explain that reaction to it. I think it was a fairly standard and routine piece of business.
Now, not everybody's laughing about this executive order. In fact, some have suggested this would give the president of the United States the authority to declare basically martial law during times of peace. And to be sure, this is simply the latest string of actions taken by the administration that ignore the basic principles of our Constitution. Joining